Hello and welcome to the very first episode of QT, Queer Temple. This is the very first LGBTQIA+ focused series that discusses the successful stories of members of the queer community. Stay with us because you're on the right track, baby. Hello, my name is Andreas Copes and welcome to QT, Queer Temple, the show in which we explore the world through the lens of LGBTQIA+ individuals. The entire team is so excited to bring queer culture to your screen and home and give you an idea of what it means to be part of Alphabet Soup. For our very first episode, we decided to focus on the broader topic of entrepreneurship. I've talked to visual artists Khalil and Jane and had a conversation with ChatterBlast Media's creative director and Temple alumni Matthew Ray. First, I would like to bring your attention to the arts though. Representation matters. The Gina Davis Institute in its C. Jane 2019 Media Diversity Report focused on children's television. And while they found that from 2008 to 2018 there was an uptrend in leading female characters, they also found that only 26.1% of the leading characters were people of color and less than 1% were queer. I was so honored to talk to two artists of our community who are contributing to the conversation about representation and working on representing a broader spectrum of people with their art. And here is our interview.
So my name is Devyn-Khaleel Farries. I use they, them, and she, her pronouns. I actually don't go to the Temple. I went to school a little while ago. I'm not that old. But when I did go to school, my major was in creative writing and my minor was in Japanese. So yeah, and I'm an illustrator, multimedia artist.
I'm Jane Shea. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a junior at Temple. I'm originally from Chicago, but I came out here when I was a freshman, so like 3 years ago now. And I am a major in education and like special ed and early childhood education, but I paint a lot on the side. So I started selling my art like about a year and a half ago, I would say. And then I made my website almost a year ago. So.
And I would love to talk about that, like how you started, when did you start with your business, what is your business? And I think we should start with Devyn-Khaleel again.
I started selling my work like merchandise, separate from commissions, I think about 7 years ago. When I was like in school, just, needed some extra money. But then I like started thinking about like the things I would like to see, like coloring books that had proper representation. And so I started making like natural hair coloring books. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Thank you. Yeah. I make a lot of like coloring books and zines. I also make like paintings like this one very far behind me. I do like a myriad of like art related and like poetry things. But yeah, mostly I make like merchandise such as like zines, coloring books, art books, stickers and posters and prints and stuff like that.
I painted a little bit in high school, but never really until I got to college. And freshman year, I would paint in my dorm room, and my roommates really liked my art, and they would always tell me like, oh my gosh, you should sell it. But it seems really intimidating at first. So I didn't really want to, because I don't know, it's kind of like vulnerable sharing your art, especially if you never like had a background in that, I feel like, just because I know so many amazing people. I'm like, oh, I'm intimidated. Like, I don't know if I want to do this just because it doesn't compare to them. But that's kind of what I realized along the process is like, that's why I like art because it's so individual to the person. You don't really need to compare it to other people. And yeah, so about, I think literally like a year ago, no, in November. So it's like a month from a year ago, basically. I started my website and I had an Instagram and I would just post my stuff. But then I was like, this is honestly a good idea. And people would DM me and ask if they could buy my stuff. And at the time, I had a job, but it was not good. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start selling my art. And I still work obviously on the side, like I have a full-time job, but I also just, it's nice to share my art with people. I don't really even, I mean, money's nice and I would love to get more money for my art, but I like people just having it and seeing it.
And
So, yeah.
So who would you say is your primary target audience for your art? When you paint something, when you create something, who's the person in mind that is going to then buy your art?
Right. I kind of honestly, my art's pretty provocative. So at first I never thought it would be like older people, but recently my grandparents who I saw it, they were like, oh, this is really good. Like, we want to buy it. So that kind of changed our audience. But originally, it was mostly for like, I don't know, like it was kind of for empowering, like, especially little kids, which sounds weird because like it's like a lot of like naked women and that obviously isn't for the kids. But like I do like Powerpuff Girls, but I like doing them, like Khalil said, like in different hair types or different races or different, orientations. And like I just want people to see my art and feel represented in it because there's just not a lot of representation in art. Like art is so representative of the person, but mainstream art I feel like is just starting to incorporate more representation in so many different ways. But I just kind of wanted to come out with a bang and be like, okay, I'm going to start making statements with my art and make it more inclusive just because it's never really been like that. And also I donate 25% of the profits as well, just because I feel like it's important, especially as like a white artist, to support other artists who may not have the privileges you have. So that's a big part of my work too, because I feel like it'd be weird if I just made all the profits off of it and then like kind of sat in that privilege and didn't uplift other people who may not have that privilege.
A lot of my art is, I was talking to acquaintance actually recently, and they described my art as identity specific. And I think that's a good way to describe my art because just, as a quick example, I'm going to take down something real quick. This one is called, this one's called, thank you.
Gorgeous.
This one's called S for S, which is specifically a usage term in the Black queer community, which is stud for stud, which represent so stud is pretty much a Black queer identity. Most of the time studs identify as masculine, some don't, but I specifically drew this image because there are Black folks who even exist at the margins within the margins. And so I spend a lot of time drawing, like the uncommon queer relationships that they seem uncommon in the mainstream, but the people that I know, I mostly see a lot of people who are breaking like heteronormativity and cis normativity in their romantic platonic friendships, what have you. Yeah, and so that's like a huge thing. It's like most of my subjects are Black, queer, and or trans, gender variant, what have you. I'm doing like a tarot card series that's of Black and brown queer people.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love that idea.
Yeah, I've been working on it since 2015. So yeah, it's been a large undertaking. Wow. But yeah, like, so I just love to, I know that like, if I have the skill to be able to draw the people I want to see in art, then like I'll do it. So I'm like making sure that at least I'm putting out the art that I want to see of representations, I
would like to know, what was it? Was there a specific moment maybe in the past where you were experiencing something and you were like, oh my God, these Powerpuff Girls, they're all the same, and I want to see more, and that's why I want to create this. So was there this kind of moment?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, of course, like throughout my life, like consuming media in general, like just to see cis het Black people on television is just very, you know, rare without seeing stereotypes. But so it was even like harder to see representations of not only people like me, but like people who are specifically like myself. And
Right.
so, yeah, and so I consume a lot of like queer art media just because I like to get my inspiration from everywhere. And a lot of the art that is uplifted a lot of times, not all the time, but some of the time, is like art that is centered on gay, like white gay males and who are cis, you know, and who also like, yeah, practice like masculinity in like a cis way and things of that nature. So I wanted to like kind of move away from, you know, kind of like the commonality of that, because like I know there's so many, you know, folks who I want like.
It's definitely like really important in my eyes to just, I don't know, like I've worked with little kids my whole life, and a big part of my art, I like to represent the disabled community as well, just because I feel like there's really like not a lot at all. And I've worked with, you know, students with different learning disabilities, and it's just been sad because I've talked to them and they really don't feel seen in the books they read, or mainly books. Like book selection is really important to me. And so when I feel like I think of children's books that I read as a child, it's all, like Khaleel said, very basic, like cis white men, no gay relationships, you know, no Black, Indigenous, or people of color represented well enough. There's no trans folks. Like it's really just basic, and not in a good way. You know what I mean? Like it's just like how everything has been set up to be. And so it's like I want to work to change that, especially as a teacher. Like I don't know, like I've thought, like you said, the coloring book is such a good idea, and I would love to like work with other teachers and make books, and like they can write them like children's books and stuff, just because that's something that I've always noticed has no representation really, and like it's so important for children to see that. And so that's like a really big part of my work, and especially also disabled children. Like I want them to be more represented in the media.
What can we do as a community to support you?
The best way to support me, so I don't want to be too long-winded, but I'm very, very, very adamant about this, especially seeing as we're moving into a more virtually heavy age. If you see any artist post anything on Instagram, put it on your story, share it with your friends, because that's what's going to get that out to other people. Like just liking it, that might not work, you know, like, and it's great. I like, for me, I love like when people see my work and like it and comment and everything. But I think like also what's important is you like, you comment, you share, you know, within all your circles, you know, if you can. And because it's not always about like just outright buying things. But also like when it comes to like just buy my work, you know, like share my stuff, buy my work. I have an Instagram account. Yeah, so I have like so my I'll say right now my Etsy is getting there, but while it's under construction, the best way to buy my work is to follow me on Instagram through Khaleel Art. That's KHALEEL Art ARTT. So it has two T's because somebody took the one with the one. But you can find me under Khaleel Art with one T on Etsy. And yeah.
I completely agree with them. I just would say that it's always important to support like artists regardless. Like you don't need to use money, just reposting, like they said, as well as like just even if you, I feel like I just always feel good when my friends are like, oh, I really like this piece, or just like commenting on it. It's really cool to see. And like I just, in general, not just for me, but like I said earlier, especially in the art community, if you're buying art, always look towards queer Black women, or you know, trans folks especially, because it's more, I feel like that's like a really big that it not only is would it like support, you know, a Black business, but as well it just is like it's a really big thing in the art community. I feel like where there's just, like I said, not enough representation, and people aren't, you know, taking other artists seriously as much as they take white artists, and it's ridiculous. So it's just really important to like support the whole community and not just like like tiny sliver of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Awesome. And what is your Instagram handle?
It's art by Jane Shea, and yeah, that's just it. I think that's my Twitter as well.
Founding a startup is not that easy. You have to create a business plan and find investors and potential clients. If you now add a queer identity to it, it can become even more difficult. You may ask yourself, should I come out to my investors before or after they agree to work with me? Or where can I find networking partners that align with my personal beliefs? Here in Philadelphia, we have many opportunities to connect with professionals in the LGBTQIA+ community. I recently was so pleased to talk to Matthew Ray, the co-founder and creative director of multimedia strategy agency ChatterBlast. According to ChatterBlast website, they make digital strategies work by focusing on storytelling and social technology. I am very excited to share our conversation with you.
Hello, my name is Matthew Ray, he, him. I am a proud Temple grad and the co-founder and creative director of ChatterBlast Media, a digital marketing agency based in Philadelphia.
Thank you. And I would like to go back to your time at Temple University. Can you tell me your major, were you a student of Temple, and what was your experience like?
I started in Temple in the mid 90s when Philadelphia was really coming out of a long kind of gray period as a city. Most urban American metropolises were. And so I moved here from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which was super, super, super obviously small, conservative, very religious. And so when I moved here to Philadelphia, when I got on the train and arrived in Philly, I kind of always joke that I left Lancaster in the closet. And as soon as I came to Philadelphia, I was out of the closet. So my entire career at Temple was very much as an out gay man. From around 99 to 03, I finished my degree, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I was on student council at Temple. I went abroad. I went to the Rome campus. And it was a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic education. It was a fantastic stepping stone for me to meet people that I'm still friends with. And Temple really has such a deep footprint across Philadelphia. It's just been vital. I can't imagine not being a now.
What was it as an out queer or gay person at Temple Philadelphia versus Temple Rome?
Gay culture in Philadelphia and Temple was, I don't think is as vibrant then as it is now. I think that there's just much more visibility for LGBTQ people, definitely more visibility for trans people, definitely more visibility for QPOC people. But Temple, I never, ever, ever, ever felt slighted or looked down upon or mistreated by teachers. Like I said, I was out the entire time I was at Temple, and I could come from a place where I couldn't be out. So I think I would have been really sensitive to it. And I don't now, and nor did I then, easily pass for a heterosexual or a heteronormative person. So Temple, Maine, was great. Philadelphia was amazing. I had for the first time friends who were straight, gay, black, white, Hispanic, who you didn't have to beg them to go to a gay dance or a gay bar or watch a gay television show when there was, there was only one on TV then. But there was just so many opportunities to begin to find a queer identity for me through Temple clubs, through Temple professors, even through other students who were more visible or, or more activist. And the city, there's incredibly big problems with the city of Philadelphia and so much work to do. But the one thing I always think of is that it has always really, really tried to catch up and be opening and accepting. And the city has a vibrant gay scene and a vibrant LGBTQ neighborhood. And so that was just so enriching and empowering when I was younger. The flip side is you go to Italy, and in 2000 it wasn't like that. Rome was still beautiful. There were still gay experiences. I had three very quickly. We had a class of 8 people, but very quickly there was 80 people. I'm sorry, about 80 people. But very quickly there was 4 of us who were out: a bisexual, 2 gay men, and a bisexual woman, 2 gay men, and a lesbian woman. And we all really gelled, and we really quickly became kind of this supportive group that every weekend when we would go dancing, and everybody knew we were going to go to, Rome had a lot of like open queer spaces on weekends that weren't traditionally gay bars as we would see it in America. But every weekend we would go, we would have 5 to 6 of our classmates who were, straight or questioning, and who were not, people who went to Penn State or Bloomsburg or Penn who would come along. I think Rome's a beautiful city. Temple Rome is one of the world's greatest programs with some of the best teachers who are so supportive, so there for their students, and recognize that a trip to Europe for some Temple students might be the first time they're out of their parents' home. Americans can get pretty crappy when they travel internationally, and like Temple Rome's just filled with people who are almost functioning as therapists. I went back 2 years ago, and because my travel plans had changed and were changing, I didn't know when I would be there, so I didn't email. And I went back to Temple Rome, and it was a Friday when they're closed, and I was outside and I buzzed the security gate, and Manuela, who has worked for the deans there for 20 years, came out and went, Mott. She knew exactly who I was. And I think, at Temple campus, again, it's a metropolis, but at Rome, we were really, they really knew us. They really knew us. They took care of us, and they encouraged, even though it's not, it's not, like a New York or Philadelphia level gay scene. It is Rome. They've had same-sex relationships for longer than we've had, a country. And so it is a place of beauty and art and history. And so that's so much of that is tied into our gay queer identities. It can't not be really great.
What does ChatterBlast do?
So ChatterBlast works with clients, various clients. ChatterBlast works with nonprofits, businesses, and even some people to create a strategy for them to find and communicate with their audience online. And that can be through training. We do a lot of training. It can be through management. We've taken over the accounts and helped guide them or manage them for businesses. It can be through creating content, whether it's blogs, videos, and now memes. And so we really focus all of our communications efforts solely on a social and digital space, and hopefully deliver results for the businesses that we're working with.
So how did you start ChatterBlast?
My business partner, Evan, and I started ChatterBlast in 2008, we were both, 2008 was a significantly bad economy globally. And so we became underemployed, as they said at the time, which just means you don't have any work. At the same time, social media platforms were taking off really, really beyond early adapter. It was kind of that year where everyone talked about Twitter and how much they hated Twitter, and all the jokes started. And Facebook had just taken dominance over MySpace. And we kind of realized that there was a need. Existing communications organizations were not using social media in any way, shape, or form. And I had come from the film festival and film world, where we were seeing performers, specifically LGBTQ performers, drive attendance and awareness on social platforms. Scissor Sisters used to have an amazing MySpace page, like back when that was something considerable, you know? And so there was a lot of, a lot of micro groups, small tribes, and untapped areas onto social. So we decided we would start kind of consulting. And what we didn't realize was that we jumped into a pool that was only about to expand exponentially and get deeper, and we had no idea. At the time, 10, 11 years ago, we had no idea that we would have a president who ruled by Twitter. No one had that concept. We had no idea that, 50 to 60% of our, reading sources or our media sources would come through social media. We didn't have that concept. So thankfully, over 10 years, we were able to kind of grow the business as social media grew, and as the needs of our clients and other organizations to harness social media increased, we were able to expand. And so now we have 20 people in Center City and a couple in other parts of the country. It's a great job every day.
I think that would be, is there anything that you would like to add that I haven't asked you about?
I've always been proud of every Temple student, alum, and faculty I've ever met. That tea is known internationally, and it's known for you and for me and for every student. It's known for the work we've put in and the good work we all do. And if we all continue to work together as one, we're a huge tribe of Black, white, gay, straight people. And if we can remember that's really, really a powerful thing. It really is.
Seeing these professionals succeeding and having an impact on how the world sees us as members of the queer community is so beautiful, and it gives me hope. We hope you enjoyed the very first episode of QT as much as we did, and make sure to follow us on Instagram at QueerTemple. My name is Andreas Copes. Stay safe, stay queer, and see you next time.